What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on Sports Centers Outside the Lines, they're going to be talking about how Pete Rose is applying for reinstatement to baseball, especially on the heels of the Houston Astros cheating scandal. So let's see what they have to say about that.
Don, so Pete Rose is applying again for reinstatement. What is the gist of his argument this time?
The gist is one of just fairness. He says his penalty, 30 and a half years banned from baseball, is far more severe than any of the penalties that Major League Baseball has handed down to any of the players in the steroids era, and certainly in the last Houston Astros sign stealing scandal. Not a single player, as you pointed out, Jeremy, was suspended a single game or fined. So the argument that Rose and his lawyers is going to make to Commissioner Manfred is simply, this has been too long. 30 and a half years is far greater a penalty than anybody else has served for impugning the integrity of the game, for acts that actually change the outcomes of the games. And they're going to say that Pete Rose betting on his own team in the 1980s when he was manager of the Reds did not change the outcome of a single game.
So I agree with Pete Rose on this. With that said, he shouldn't have been betting on his team, so I understand why he got in trouble. But with that said, you got to stay consistent. There's a consistency problem here in baseball. So you indefinitely suspend Pete Rose because he bet on baseball, but then you have guys that have used steroids and have lied about using steroids, that none of those guys have been indefinitely suspended and they're still eligible for the Hall of Fame. So there's a consistency problem there. Also, you look at the Houston Astros, they just got caught blatantly cheating in the World Series and in other games, but they're not going to lose their rings. Their championship's not going to be vacated. None of those guys are going to be indefinitely suspended. So there's definitely an inconsistency problem here. And as far as the Houston Astros, I think those guys should get the equivalent to the death penalty of what they get in college, the NCAA, if they get caught cheating of major violations. I mean, those guys should have at least 5 years of not being able to make the playoffs no matter what they do, 5 years of not being able to have any baseball players in a draft get drafted. I mean, they should have a couple issues, a couple of penalties that they have going on for them, so that all teams know that if you get caught cheating like this, there's going to be some major repercussions instead of nothing happening to the Houston Astros. But like I said, in the same breath, you're going to indefinitely suspend Pete Rose for betting on baseball? Yeah, there's a problem, but let's continue.
Start with Bart Giamatti, then Fay Vincent, then Bud Selig. Rob Manfred has already turned down Rose once for reinstatement. Why would he reverse course now? Why would he overturn the decisions of his predecessors?
It's a great question, Jeremy. Rose and his lawyers are going to say the world has changed. As we all know, gambling in America is now legal. The Supreme Court made that happen in May of 2018. So the subtext here is that gambling does not have the same taboo it had in 1989 when Rose was initially banned for life. And I believe behind closed doors, that will be an argument that will be advanced by Rose and his lawyers with the commissioner.
Don, it's...
So for those of you guys that don't really watch baseball, so Pete Rose is one of the best to ever do it. So he's not just a guy that's kind of a borderline Hall of Famer. No, he's a full-on Hall of Famer and the best to do it. So let's take a quick look at Pete Rose's stats real quick. So he's a 17-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champion, NL MVP 1973, World Series MVP 1975, NL Rookie of the Year 1963, 2-time Golden Glove winner, 3-time NL batting champion. And let's take a look at some of the baseball records that he still holds. So he has 4,256 career hits, 3,215 career singles, 3,562 career games played, 4,053 career at-bats, 15,890 career play appearances. So this guy is, one of the best to do it, and he should definitely be able to be reinstated. If they don't want to put him in the Hall of Fame at this point, okay, but at least reinstate him so he can pass on the wealth of knowledge that he has to the future generations, because he definitely has a wealth of knowledge. He's 78 years old right now. But at least reinstate him. And then later on in the process, maybe we can think about getting him into the Hall of Fame. But I don't know. Let's continue.
With Rose, it's not just about the initial crimes for which he was banned back in 1989, but it was also about what Bart Giamatti stipulated at that time, that he would have to reconfigure his life if he wanted to be reinstated. A few years ago in 2017, he lost his job at Fox. He was disinvited from a Phillies reunion because of allegations of statutory rape. At this point, what would Rose possibly be able to offer in his evidence to say that he has reconfigured his life since he's working in a casino now?
It's a great question, too, Jeremy. Rose is going to have to persuade Manfred that he's reconfigured his life. And the only way that I believe he's going to be able to do that is by agreeing to no longer bet on baseball. I've talked to MLB executives who say there's no...
So I definitely agree with that. I think just at the very least for Pete Rose, like, look, you should be able to be in the Hall of Fame, but, just to make things a little bit more smoother and to show that you've changed. So let's not work at a casino anymore. Let's not bet on sports anymore. Just for the fact that you want to get into the MLB Hall of Fame and you want to show them that you've changed, even though it's perfectly legal. Which that's why it doesn't make sense. It's legal for him to gamble, but like I said, if you really want to show that you want to get back into, or get into the Hall of Fame or get reinstated to baseball because the game means that much to you, then, you might want to give up gambling to show them that, look, I've give up gambling. It's been 30 years. You guys aren't staying consistent with your punishments. Can I please be reinstated? You guys don't have to put me in the Hall of Fame, but just at this point, just please reinstate me so I can be in the game and pass my knowledge to, future players, let alone maybe in 10 years he can get into the Hall of Fame or whatever the situation is. But let's continue.
There's no way Rose can be welcomed back into baseball, have a job as a hitting instructor or as a bench coach if he's still betting legally on baseball. Now, Rose says he has every right to do that. He lives in Las Vegas, and he should be allowed to do that. So I think the only way, the pathway that Rose has, the only one may be if he agrees to no longer bet on baseball. But then it raises the question, is Manfred going to believe Rose when he says he'll do that?
And Don, one last.
So again, Pete Rose isn't just, a borderline Hall of Famer. This guy is a solid Hall of Famer and one of the best to do it. And you guys, I just told you all the records that he continues to have. So this guy's a baller. Again, just to, I guess, to go along with the process or just to, show good faith, I think he should probably stop working at a casino and stop betting on sports and baseball. I mean, if you're still doing the thing that they suspended you for, even though it's legal right now, that doesn't look too good. It's not really necessarily a good look, even though it's legal. So I think if Pete Rose really wants to get back reinstated, you're going to have to move out of Vegas, stop working at a casino, stop betting on the very thing that they suspended you for. Even though it's legal, but like I said, that's what if you love the game that much, then you're going to have to give up gambling. And I know gambling is one of the worst addictions because, well, I don't want to get into why. I don't know if he's a sick gambler like that. But like I said, he should step away if he really wants to get reinstated to baseball. And again, this guy isn't a borderline Hall of Famer. This guy's one of the best to do it. So I think they should reinstate him. So let's continue.
Point here, a lot of people seem to think that reinstatement would mean that Pete Rose goes into the Hall of Fame. As you said, it means being allowed back into the good graces of the game completely, being able to be employed by baseball as a coach or potentially a manager, even though he's 78 now and it's been 30 years. We're not talking about the Hall of Fame here. We're talking about being in baseball.
That's right. MLB simply has privileges that they would extend to anybody that they reinstate into baseball, and that includes a job with a team or with a club. But the question of whether Pete Rose would be inducted into the Hall of Fame, that goes to a committee.